Ladies and gentlemen, let's pause for a second and ask ourselves, who helped us get here, who showed up when we had nothing but doubt in our hearts and dust in our pockets, who believed in us when we couldn't even believe in ourselves. Gratitude is the foundation of personal power. It's not just a feeling, it's a decision, a discipline, a way of seeing the world. Gratitude says, I recognize the value of what I've been given. Entitlement, on the other hand, screams, I deserve more. And there's the difference. One builds, the other destroys. It's easy to fall into the trap of entitlement, especially when success starts knocking on your door. When the wins come in, when the applause gets louder, when people begin to look at you as someone who's made it, you start believing the lie that you did it all alone, that no one carried you, no one supported you, no one sacrificed for you. But that's the myth of the entitled mind. Nobody climbs the ladder of success without stepping on rungs that were placed there by someone else. Maybe it was a parent, a mentor, a friend, a boss, or even a stranger who believed in your potential when you didn't even know it existed, and still, we forget. We act like we're owed the world, as if the universe owes us comfort, recognition, and endless praise just because we showed up. But life doesn't work like that. Gratitude is a muscle. It must be exercised daily or it begins to atrophy. The more we practice it, the stronger we become, not weaker. Gratitude sharpens our focus. It keeps our ego in check. It reminds us to stop looking only at the finish line and start acknowledging the hands that helped us tie our shoes. You want clarity? Start with gratitude. You want peace? Learn to appreciate what's already in your hands instead of cursing what isn't. Because the person who's always demanding more without respecting what they've already received will end up with nothing that lasts. Entitlement is insidious. It feels like confidence, but it's really arrogance dressed up in self-pity. It convinces you that you've been cheated, when in reality, you've just failed to acknowledge how much you've already gained. Gratitude, on the other hand, brings perspective. It tells the truth. It says, yes, I've worked hard, but I didn't get here alone, and because of that, I owe something. I owe respect. I owe humility. I owe thanks. People who operate with gratitude don't need to be reminded to show up. They show up because they care. They don't need to be begged for loyalty. They give it because they value what they've received. Gratitude doesn't mean you settle for less. It means you recognize more. You see beyond yourself. You understand that every opportunity, every open door, every kind word was part of something bigger than just you. So the question isn't, what do I deserve? The real question is, what have I already been given, and how am I honoring it? Because when you stop expecting the world to serve you and start being thankful for what you've been given, that's when the world starts giving you more than you ever imagined, of course. Here's a powerful and emotionally charged 500-word expansion on discipline in relationships. In the same motivational style and tone, relationships are the backbone of every meaningful life, and yet most people treat them like conveniences, temporary, disposable, replaceable. But you don't build anything great by being careless with people. You don't grow by acting on every impulse, every emotion, every ego-driven reaction. No, you grow by exercising discipline in the way you treat those closest to you. Discipline is the art of restraint, of choosing response over reaction, of honoring the connection even when your feelings scream otherwise. Without it, relationships collapse under the weight of selfishness. You want love to last, you want loyalty to stay, then understand this. You can't just say whatever you feel in the heat of the moment and expect no consequences. Words have weight, actions echo. The way you speak to someone when you're angry can either build trust or shatter it completely. And once broken, some things don't come back the same. Discipline in relationships isn't about pretending everything's perfect. It's about managing your chaos, your temper, your pride, your need to be right. Because the real test of character isn't how you treat people when life is good. It's how you treat them when you're tired, frustrated, disappointed, or afraid. It's easy to let emotions run wild. It's easy to justify outbursts with excuses like, that's just how I am, or they pushed me too far. But that's not strength. That's weakness disguised as honesty. True strength is biting your tongue when it would feel good to lash out. It's stepping back when your ego wants to step forward and dominate. It's remembering that relationships aren't about winning battles. They're about building bridges. You don't prove love by overpowering someone. You prove love by protecting them, even from yourself. So many people lose the ones who mattered most because they lack the discipline to pause, to reflect, to choose kindness over chaos. And then they wonder what went wrong. They say, I didn't mean it, but the damage is done. The scar remains. Love without discipline turns to resentment. Loyalty without respect turns to silence. You can't expect someone to stay if you're constantly pushing them to the edge and daring them to leave. Discipline in relationships means showing up, even when it's inconvenient. It means apologizing, not because you're weak, but because the relationship matters more than your pride. It means listening, really listening, when your instinct is to defend. It means doing the hard work of growing so you don't keep bleeding on the people trying to help you heal. People aren't mind readers. They need to feel seen, heard, respected. And if you don't bring that level of discipline to the table, you'll end up eating alone, wondering why everyone left. Love isn't sustained by luck or timing. It's sustained by effort, by care, by control. So when the storms come, and they will, it's not the loudest voice that wins. It's the most disciplined heart that holds the relationship together. Absolutely. Here's a 500-word expansion on long-term vision vs. short-term emotion. In the same motivational, emotionally rich tone, every decision you make is either building your future or burning it. And the truth is, most people destroy what they want long-term for the sake of how they feel in the moment. They get angry and walk away from people who loved them. They get impatient and quit on dreams that needed just a little more time. They feel insecure and lash out, only to realize too late that their reaction did more damage than the situation itself ever could. That's the cost of being ruled by emotion. You trade what you want most for what you feel right now. Emotion isn't the enemy. It's powerful, it's human, and it's necessary. But when emotion drives the car and vision takes the backseat, you crash every time. Short-term emotion screams for action. It demands urgency. It tells you, say it now, walk away now, react now. But what does that impulse cost you tomorrow? What does that outburst cost your career, your family, your self-respect? The people who succeed in life, in love, in anything worth having, are the ones who learn to pause. They feel the fire, but they don't let it burn everything down. You need a long-term vision, something that guides you through the storms, something that gives your emotions a direction instead of a microphone. Vision gives you clarity. It reminds you why you started, why you stayed, why you keep going. It tells you, this pain right now, it's temporary, but your purpose, that's forever. And once you understand that, you stop making permanent decisions based on temporary feelings. You stop destroying relationships, quitting on goals, and compromising your integrity just to relieve pressure in the moment. You've got to see past today. You've got to look at that person you're becoming 5 years from now and ask, what would they want me to do right now? Because emotions don't care about your future. They only care about your comfort. But vision is loyal to your legacy. And that legacy is built one decision at a time, especially when those decisions are hard. It's not easy. Nobody said it would be. You'll want to scream, to give up, to walk out. And in those moments, emotion will feel louder than truth. But that's where growth happens. That's where you find your strength. Not in the absence of emotion, but in the discipline to lead it, not follow it. People who live by short-term emotion keep repeating the same cycles, same mistakes, same heartbreak, same regrets. But people who live by long-term vision, they rise slowly, steadily, quietly, and eventually, powerfully, because they've learned that feelings are fleeting, but the future is worth fighting for. You don't win because you feel strong every day. You win because you stay focused, especially on the days you feel like falling apart. Absolutely. Here's a powerful 500-word expansion on the cost of burning bridges, keeping the same motivational and emotionally intense tone. Every time you burn a bridge, you set fire to a future you may not even realize you'll need. In the heat of anger, ego, or pride, People walk away from connections like they're disposable. They say things they can't take back. They close doors with force, thinking it's a show of strength, but later realize they've trapped themselves on an island with no way to return. The cost of burning bridges is rarely felt in the moment. It shows up when opportunity knocks and you no longer have the path to reach it. Sometimes all it takes is one careless word, one impulsive reaction, one moment of "I don't need them," to destroy years of trust, support, and history. People think they're proving independence by cutting ties, but there's a difference between setting boundaries and setting bombs. Burning a bridge isn't just about the relationship, it's about your reputation. It's about the energy you carry into every room you enter afterward. People watch how you treat others, they notice how you leave situations, they remember whether you left with dignity or with destruction. The truth is, you never know who you'll need in 5 years. You never know which handshake could lead to your next breakthrough, or which connection could save your future. But if you scorch every path behind you, you leave yourself no option but to keep starting over alone. And sure, people convince themselves they don't need anyone, that they'll build something better on their own. But life doesn't work like that. Success isn't solo. Growth isn't isolated. Every level you reach is somehow connected to a person, a relationship, a favor, a shared belief. The most dangerous thing about burning bridges is that it gives temporary satisfaction while creating long-term isolation. In that moment, it feels powerful. You think, I showed them. I ended it on my terms. But later, when the pride wears off, when the silence sets in, when you realize that connection had more value than you knew, you'll wish you'd handled it differently. Sometimes maturity is not in walking away, but in staying calm when everything in you wants to explode. It's choosing respect even when you feel disrespected. It's leaving if you must, but leaving with grace, not a flamethrower, and don't mistake this for weakness. This is strategy, this is wisdom, this is legacy thinking. Because while others are burning bridges to prove a point, you're building character that opens doors. While they're walking out with rage, you're walking forward with options. The world is smaller than we think, and people cross paths again in the most unexpected ways. Your future self may have to sit across from someone your current self tried to erase. So ask yourself, what's more valuable, the rush of proving you're right, or the power of preserving a road that might lead back to something even greater? Ready for the next one? Absolutely. Here's a compelling 500-word expansion on respecting hierarchies of support, written in the same motivational, emotionally resonant style. In every journey, there are people who come before you, people who build the foundation so you can stand taller, reach higher, move faster. That's the hierarchy of support, and it's not about bowing down to anyone. It's about recognizing that success is never truly solo. It's about understanding that someone made a sacrifice, took a risk, or gave you a chance that became the stepping stone for everything you're chasing now. When you forget that, when you start acting like you did it all yourself, you disconnect from the truth that built you. The problem is, in today's world, everyone wants to act like they're self-made. They reject authority, dismiss mentorship, and roll their eyes at wisdom because it doesn't come from someone at their level. But growth doesn't happen in rebellion. It happens in structure. It happens when you understand that respect isn't weakness, it's alignment. And the people who gave you support when you had nothing, they're part of that structure. You don't outgrow them. You don't mock them. You honor them, even if you've moved past them, because they were there when others weren't. There's a reason why some people keep climbing while others keep circling the same mountains. It's not just talent or timing. It's character, and character is shaped by how you treat the hands that held you when you couldn't hold yourself. When you reject the hierarchy that lifted you, you're not proving strength. You're revealing ego, and ego is the fastest way to fall. Because the truth is, no one climbs without support, and no one stays on top without humility. The people who endure, the ones who keep leveling up, they remember who helped them rise, and they stay grounded in that gratitude. Respecting a hierarchy of support doesn't mean you're less. It means you're wise enough to know that no one thrives in isolation. Whether it was a teacher, a parent, a mentor, a leader, or even a critic who challenged you in a way that woke something up inside you, these people are part of your story. Ignoring that, pretending like you're above it, is like cutting the roots of a tree and expecting it to grow taller. You rise by remembering what you stand on. It's easy to nod your head when things are going well, to post thank yous after the success has already come. But the real test is in the tension. When your pride wants to believe you're above taking advice, when your ego tells you to forget the people who helped, that's when you show who you really are. Are you someone who builds forward with integrity, or someone who destroys foundations the moment you feel powerful? You may not always agree with those who came before you. That's fine. Growth requires evolution. But disagreement doesn't justify disrespect. You can outgrow a place without dishonoring it. You can become more than your mentors and still carry their influence with pride. Because when you remember the hierarchy that held you, you don't just honor the past. You secure your future. Certainly, here's a powerful and emotionally driven 500-word expansion on power in humility. Staying true to the motivational tone and style, real power doesn't scream. It doesn't demand attention, and it doesn't need to prove itself to the world. Real power walks into the room quietly, knowing exactly what it's capable of. That's the essence of humility. Not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. It's strength under control. It's fire with discipline. Humility is one of the rarest traits in a world obsessed with self-promotion, but it's also one of the most powerful forces you can carry. We live in a culture that tells you to be loud, to be bold, to make sure everyone knows your name. But humility isn't silence, it's confidence without arrogance. It's knowing your worth, but never using it to belittle others. It's having every reason to boast, but choosing to stay grounded instead. And make no mistake, that choice takes strength, because humility isn't natural, it's not instinctive. It takes effort to step back when your ego wants to step forward. It takes real power to uplift others when you're the one who could easily take the spotlight. People often confuse humility with weakness, as if being humble means being passive or letting others walk over you. But the truth is, humility is the posture of leaders, the language of legacy builders. The ones who truly rise, who build empires, impact lives, and command respect aren't the loudest in the room. They're the most composed. They listen more than they speak. They serve more than they demand. And because of that, people follow them. Not out of fear, but out of trust. Humility keeps you teachable. It keeps your mind open and your pride in check. No matter how far you've come, there's always someone who knows something you don't. There's always room to grow, but pride shuts doors. It makes you unapproachable. It stops your evolution because it convinces you that you already know enough. Humility, on the other hand, creates space for wisdom to enter. It gives you access to knowledge, relationships, and opportunities that arrogance would block. And perhaps most importantly, humility protects what you've built. Pride destroys more than failure ever could. It turns victories into vanity and relationships into rivalries. It blinds you to your own blind spots, but humility, it keeps you steady. It reminds you that the goal isn't just to rise, but to stay standing. It reminds you that power isn't measured by how high you climb, but by how many people you lift with you along the way. When you carry humility, you don't need applause to feel valuable. You don't need validation to feel confident. You know who you are, and that's enough. And when you lead from that place, when you speak from that place, you earn a kind of respect that can't be bought or forced, because the world may celebrate pride for a moment, but it follows humility for a lifetime.